Hi, welcome to Breaking Free Fridays, or welcome back if you've been following this series. I'm Kara, and it's so great to have you here. So today I was inspired to talk about how to boost your energy. There are quite a few people that I've been talking with that have really been struggling with just feeling drained and not feeling really rejuvenated and just struggling with their level of energy in general. And it's such a good topic right now because, this is something that can happen to any of us, that happens, at different times in our lives. The more that we're just kind of day in and day out, dealing with a grind, we can fall into these patterns where it feels like we're just getting by. And that's not what our lives are meant to be, where they're meant to be filled with joy and a lot of energy. And there are some things that we can do to make a big difference in how that actually presents, and the difference it can make in the way we go through life. A few of the areas that I want to talk about in particular have to do with clearing, connecting, and moving. But overall, the biggest thing is really knowing your own body and knowing yourself. Because there are times when our body truly does just need rest and recovery. And there are times that our ego can kind of be sneaky and trick us into just relaxing and resting instead of moving and really engaging in life and actually generating more energy. So just going into just some high level things related to those areas of tips that are important for boosting energy. That first one that I mentioned, clearing, is such an important one because that is something that we can do on so many different levels of our being. So when I reference clearing, I'm talking about energetically, really keeping our energy clear and really about our own energetic frequency. Sometimes it can be easy to absorb other energies around us. And imagine, like, if you go walking through the grocery store, or you happen to be in maybe a restaurant and you run across a pretty strong conflict, and maybe you walk out and you kind of feel slimed. That's a little bit of an energy situation there, where clearing ourselves, and you can use a simple phrase like, I release and am free of any energy that belongs to anything or anyone other than myself. I like to say, in the name of Jesus Christ, but that, if that doesn't resonate with you, just saying those main words and just putting that intention out there is really powerful. Clearing with something like sage or Palo Santo can be very powerful as well. So there's so much empowerment that is behind just the intention and what you put out there with your words. So, and also we can even do like a clearing where you're just kind of brushing that energetic field around you, in all areas. And that is also very powerful. But clearing is also about clearing the mind, really becoming still, and our minds are so adept at just constantly racing, and this is something that we get to do as a practice to still the mind and come into more of a peaceful state. Deep breathing can be really powerful in helping with this. There are a lot of different meditations, so many different kinds. So if you have found yourself to struggle with meditating, know that there are just countless types of meditations. And it may be that you just haven't found the one that really resonates with you. So be open to really exploring some of those different types. There are even ones that are more like walking meditations. There are, of course, things that you can do just with deep breathing that is really powerful to help not only still and calm the body and the nervous system, but also the mind as well. And then clearing, the other big place is with our body. We are exposed to so much in terms of just toxins in our environment, things that we might be eating even. And so what we do to help cleanse and clear our systems is incredibly powerful for boosting energy. And even just really becoming more aware of how you're nourishing your body, what you're putting in terms of, food and what you're drinking as well, and the effect that has on your body. There can be things that we're eating that actually can really lower our energy levels. And so having an awareness of that, there are some things that just in general affect people with kind of lowering their energy. And then individually, we can also have different experiences with different foods and things that can affect our energy. So really being aware of that and knowing how that affects you uniquely is so important. So I encourage you to pay more attention to that. You might find some pretty big ahas coming forward as you discover more of that realm too. Another piece of that cleansing and kind of clearing from a body standpoint, if you think about our lymph system, it's kind of like the garbage disposal of the body, and it's powerful for clearing. A lot runs through it, but it doesn't easily release without our help, and motion helps a lot. Jumping up and down, just not huge leaps or anything like that, but just really bouncing and getting your body moving. It helps get that circulation going. And there's different kinds of body work as well that's powerful in releasing toxins. So that's something else that you can look into and discover. There's so many different areas. We could talk for hours on this, but just to give you a little bit. So keep in mind all of the different clearing aspects, and then going on to another big piece for boosting energy is about connecting. And for me, one of the biggest pieces has to do with connecting to God, higher power, great spirit, universe, however that resonates with you. But that connection and alignment is so incredibly fueling, and just even not only just with that higher power, but also with Earth, and our Mother Earth. Basically, there's so much energy and stability that comes from our connection to our home and just oneness with all that is. It's incredibly powerful and grounding, connecting to nature with bare feet, is incredibly powerful. There's a documentary out there called Grounding. If you haven't seen it, it is fascinating, and it's really worth a watch if you haven't checked it out. But the other piece on connecting, as humans, that's one of our needs is connection. And so, connecting with those relationships that really fuel us, that energize us. And you'll know the difference because as you think about the connections that you have in your life, you'll be able to identify ones that really light you up and ones that maybe are more draining. And so, really connecting with and fostering more those relationships that are really lighting you up. That is incredibly powerful. But also connecting to fun and joy, your unique passions, what lights you up in life, and that you will be surprised at how energizing that is, because those emotions and those feelings, those vibrate on a level of frequency that are really high. And so by nature, that really energizes the system. There are lots of people that have experienced this when you are living your passion and your purpose. It's not like work. And it fuels itself, because there's just so much energy that comes in connecting to that which really brings you happiness and joy. And so wherever you can rekindle that, connect with that, foster that, find time for that, connecting to your own self-care. And I just want to remind you something so important about that self-care. You are worth it. You are important. And you are so worthy and deserving of that self-care and the nurturing that you need. So listen to what that is, because connecting to that, that will fuel you in a way that brings more energy and more space. And sometimes you might think, oh my gosh, I don't have time. How in the world am I going to fit that in? And the irony is that when we take moments to really care for ourselves and bring calmness to our nervous systems and allow for more space, the relationship with what we're experiencing around that and outside of ourselves that feels so pressuring and intense, it lets up. We see more, we have greater perspective, and that frenetic energy, it dissipates. And so we realize that we actually have more space and more energy to move through life. So I encourage you to check that out. And then the other piece is moving in general. We are meant to move. We're meant to be in motion, and that fuels energy. It definitely does. And I'm sure, you can relate to times where when you've worked out or even gone for like a brisk walk or done yoga or something that you really enjoy. Maybe it's dancing, maybe it's skiing, maybe it's walking, maybe it's running, whatever it is for you, just keeping your body in motion and moving, bringing, stretching and flexibility and strengthening, little by little, however you can weave that into your life is incredibly powerful for fueling your energy. And I'll give you just an example from my own life. It is surprising how fast our muscles atrophy and how fast we weaken, just in our physical nature. With my youngest, I ended up on bed rest with him, and I went into premature labor, and so I was on very strict bed rest. And I also ended up having a C-section with him, and the bed rest was 2 months, and the C-section, major surgery, it was much, much more difficult to recover from the bed rest than the surgery. By far, hands down. And it was because my body had just weakened so much. It was like baby steps to build my strength and my stamina back. And I had been a pretty active person. So it lends to that importance about how much, our movement actually fuels energy, and boosts that, ramps that up for us. So keep that in mind. Let me know what you're noticing in your life as well. And, sometimes we don't feel like that, but what you'll find is if you are feeling kind of low in energy, if you get up, do some jumping jacks, run in place for a minute, dance to a favorite song, something to just get you moving, you'll see a shift in your energy almost instantly. Try it and let me know what you find. So if you're enjoying these videos, please subscribe, send a like, and share them with your friends and loved ones. I'd love to hear your thoughts on how these concepts are playing out and how they resonate with you, what you've been experiencing in different ways of boosting your energy, and what's helped you, really thrive instead of just getting by. So it's great to see you. I hope you have a wonderful next week. Here's to your next level of empowerment and breaking free. Okay, bye for now.